in Prague bar.
Yes. Yeah.
So we are definitely looking at. Just, I mean, like nothing.
Okay.
And so you have to spend, a morale point or two to to roll, and depending on how good your leader it is,
Right.
maybe you decide to get going, and maybe you don't. And Charles is not very apt to do it, but Brown's allowed to roll for him.
So what is the unit scale?
Well, it's interesting because almost all the units, and I don't know, I could probably zoom in and you could probably see. Yeah, there we go. Most of the units look like, I'm guessing those are battalion numbers, and most of the units are in fact two battalions, or at least what I'm imagining are two battalions. Like, look right there, that one's unusual because it's only got a single number on it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and and the number in the upper right is how many steps the unit has. So you can see that most of the units, in order to get 4 steps, which by the way, 4 steps is the width of a hex.
Right.
So if you have other units in the hex underneath, well, only the one on top is actually facing the enemy. Right? The ones underneath are actually behind the front line. And so the combat actually, to a great extent, really is mostly involved with just the front line unit.
Cool.
So anyway, it's interesting. He did some really clever things to zoom out enough to be able to play the approach to the battle in a way that you really couldn't in bar, just because you'd need 20 maps and it would take forever to play.
Right.
And yet tried to give you some of the feel that what's going on here is linear combat. So anyway, this is actually the game that brought me back to wargaming.
Oh,
Back in
really?
2000, 2007, 2008. Must have been 2007. I was working for a startup. I got laid off. So I had like 3 months where I didn't have a job. And somehow in all that, I discovered Board Game Geek. And I was, reading books about Frederick the Great. And then I was like, oh, there's a game about Frederick the Great. I was like, hey, wow, I'd never heard of this GMT place. But sure, what the heck? Let's go ahead and buy this game. So I bought this game. And like I said, this was my reintroduction to the hobby after the 20 plus year break of life, the
Yeah,
universe, and everything.
exactly. Exactly. So what's the name of this particular game again?
It's called Prussia's Glory, and
Okay.
this was actually the sequel, so it's Prussia's Glory 2. Each of the each of the boxes is actually a quad game. So this is one of the 4 battles in Prussia's Glory 2. So really, you got 8 battles between the 2 boxes,
Hmm.
and I just noticed it was not a very popular game. It
Hmm.
didn't do very well, and so they never actually published the third version of the game, which was going to be called Austria's Glory, which was going to be battles from the War of the Austrian Succession, like Fontenoy, for example.
Right.
But I guess it didn't sell very well. Prussia's Glory, they actually still have copies at GMT on sale for like, I don't know, $35 or
Wow.
something.
Well, and this is one of these things. The 7 Years' War.
Hmm.
It's one of those topics that doesn't get as it's not as sexy as
Yeah, yeah.
Napoleonic stuff, and you've got stuff with the American Civil War. You got all these different things that I think tend to get a little bit more.
I didn't
Um,
mean to drop, but apparently I did.
no, I can still hear you.
Oh, well, never mind. Okay. Well, anyway, I'm
Yeah.
back.
Okay.
regardless. Am I still sharing my screen? I don't think I am.
No, no,
Okay, good.
it
Okay.
stopped the
I
screen
think
share.
I accidentally hit the just hang up button instead of the stop sharing button,
Ah,
but whatever.
okay. Well, that's
Anyway,
okay. It all
so
works.
yeah, I mean, you think about it, the British were, you know, somewhat involved in the 7 Years' War, but the Americans weren't at all. I mean, we to the extent we care about it, right? It was French and Indian War. We don't even call it by the same name, so most people really don't care about the 7 Years' War. But
Yeah, and then I mean, there's not a whole lot to speak of that's going on this side of the universe. Um, so yeah, it is a little bit forgotten. And to be honest with you, I didn't know a whole heck of a lot about it. But once I started, playing this game and whatnot, I came across that same YouTube channel, House of History,
right,
and they've got some real terrific you know programs kind of covering it. So, well, hey, well, while we're waiting for David,
yeah,
um, we can perhaps let's see. There's a couple of people who are tuning in. William from beautiful Kitchener, Ontario, Canada. Greetings,
uh-huh.
William. We've got Jeremy Harris. Good evening, Eric. You and Brendan did an excellent job last night with your tactics presentation. Hello, Michael and David. Best of luck to you, gentlemen. Thank you, Jeremy. Um, so I thought maybe while we're waiting for David, you can give me some advice on what to do here with my cavalry.
Oh,
Um,
sure, sure,
so that
yeah,
way I don't embarrass
yeah. So we don't have to
myself.
discuss it in front of them, and okay.
Yes.
So, first of all, yeah, I guess we already had first blood up there, which is good. Um, I would suppose that what I would suggest is um, I would go after him again with the second row and just keep the pressure on because as you can tell, I mean, and I'm talking about the heavy cavalry.
Right. Right.
Um, because there's nothing you want more than there's gaps in the line, there's flanks that are open, right? I mean, so that's why you want reserves, and you just go pounding after them,
Right.
um, and just keep the chaos going. And to an extent, you need to be a little bit worried about his cavalry that are up on the other side of the creek.
Right.
But obviously, the creek itself means that they're going to be somewhat limited in how much they're going to be able to do.
Right.
But still, maybe keep 1 or 2 units back just so that if they try coming across the creek, you can smash them in the flank or something.
Right.
But otherwise, I just push. And of course, that's going to tempt him to try to bleed troops off from his light cavalry in the south, right?
Right.
Because he's going to need to do something to try to stiffen the line there. And I think your light cavalry is a hell of a lot better than his is. So
Yeah.
then there should be no point, or there should be no problem in just charging in with the first line, keep the second line in reserve, so that however the first battle works out, the second line can go in there. And I think you've got the numbers there and the quality that will probably put paid to him.
Right.
And then you start, rolling your way up because those grenadiers of his are really impressive and the artillery is really impressive, but it's not going to look real impressive when their flanks hanging in the air.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll
So
just see how that all plays out.
to me, that feels like the place to do the push.
Right.
And and then at that point, it makes it so much easier for the infantry to roll forward.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I may go ahead and continue shenanigans on his left flank to keep him occupied,
Right.
and because I think his left flank is really weak. Um, but that's good because again, that kind of pins his middle, and then he can start getting nervous as the right flank collapses.
Yeah. Well,
That's
and
my
and
theory,
we've
and I'm
and
sticking
we've
to it.
we've got him kind of at this hinge here at Kej.
Mm-hmm.
You've got more stuff coming in, and we're really in a position to kind of just push through that line. I guess it would be north of that redoubt. This one over here, um, and
Yeah, yeah. And to be honest, I'm trying to figure out if I want to go into those readouts. Um, I'm certainly going to line up in front of him to try to pin his troops there.
Right.
Whether or not I really feel like going in and getting serious about it, I haven't quite decided. Part of it depends on how the attack at Kaj goes on,
Right.
because obviously we've got the rest of what's his name, Leshtvitz, um, uh, wing is showed up.
Right.
So then and if you think about it, that's I guess I'm a big fan of indirection, right? If you if you dislodge his guys there near Kedge,
Mm-hmm.
now what do those readouts look like? Those readouts start to look like a trap.
Right.
So why do a frontal assault if I could just get the enemy to leave?
Yeah, I mean, if you can, if you can punch through this area here, there's, here,
Yes. Yeah.
he's going to have to abandon those readouts.
Exactly.
And you can turn
then
him
I
one
can
way or
find
the
him
other.
somewhere when
Yeah.
he's on less favorable terrain,
Yeah.
or he can just stay there and I'll just cut him off. I don't think
Yeah.
he's going to enjoy that very much, right? So that's at least in my mind where I'm kind of going. And
Mhm.
yeah, he's got artillery up there, and yeah, it won't be a lot of fun, and yeah, I'll take a lot of casualties, whatever. Um, so that's at least kind of what I've got in mind for the moment.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. And then the only thing we need to do is try to get something done here. I think when's the scenario end? Like 1 o'clock or something?
Is it?
Yeah, so we don't have all day to do this.
I'm sure glad you know. I'm not the kind of guy who reads the victory conditions or.
Yeah, so the last turn is the 1 p.m. turn.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
The last turn is the 1 p.m.
It
turn?
says.
So we actually play the turn.
Starts at 9:20 and its last turn is 1 p.m.
Okay. So that means we got 2 hours.
Pretty much.
Okay. Well, 2 hours is plenty. You know what, really? In my game of Fontenoy I just finished,
Yeah.
it was just over 2 hours from first contact to Cumberland deciding to call it off.
Yeah. Well, and
I
once
mean,
everything gets, we couldn't have really done too much earlier, except like throw my infantry right into the teeth of his infantry and guns.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like
Yeah.
a very interesting deal. And since we've got so many reinforcements coming on, it's kind of like it wasn't really all that. It didn't seem all that urgent to me to send the cavalry forward instantly either.
No.
I mean,
no.
You were moving them forward, but it wasn't like holy smokes, we're running out of time. We got to get it done, because the battle's only getting better as the troops keep marching on, right?
Yeah.
So, speaking of which, let me go get all my my documents.
Get all of your charts, indeed.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we've got about 7 or 8 people tuning in right now. So greetings, everybody. We are here. It is the 11:20 turn here at the Battle of Prague. This is the Battles of the Age of Reason. And this is the Frederick the Great. He's got his army here up against the Austrians on to the east side of Prague. And let's see, we've got Jason Henkel is tuning in. Good evening, Jason. Yes, glad we could be streaming. William asked, one question I wanted to ask last night was, were the tactics discussed last night specific to La Bataille game or applicable to other Napoleonic games and perhaps those other eras? So the tactics and certainly the examples that we posted were using the counters and maps and things like that from La Bataille. Obviously, the concepts of combined arms that we were talking about are applicable to other Napoleonic game systems. So one of those would be, potentially the Winner's Victory game that's coming out from New England Simulations, because that's battalion level and they're going to have infantry battalions and artillery batteries and cavalry, and so you'll be able to use them for mutual support as well as for combined arms in that. Um, and then some of the games that are a little higher scale, like the Vive l'Empereur games. That's Battle of Hanau, the Four Battles of Spain. I think Legion War Games puts this one out. You could even use these tactics in that game. So even though the scale is a little larger, you still have the ability to have your infantry in line, in column, and square. You still have your cavalry and your artillery that can work together to affect your opponent. So you might have to do things a little bit differently, but still be able to use the combined arms. Here in this particular battle, we are looking at 17th, 18th century combat, where you have these thin, long lines of troops. And I had commented on this because Michael and David, I would tune in from time to time. They were playing the Battle of Chertuzets. And looking at it, it was so reminiscent of like any game from classical antiquity. You've got the infantry in the center, you've got your cavalry out on the two wings, the cavalry are fighting each other, the infantry are kind of engaged, and then however the cavalry battle goes, they're going to turn and hit the infantry in the flank. And so, there's a gap of several thousand years, but not a whole lot different as far as the setup. I'm just like, this is so, so typical. Hang on just a second, guys. I'm going to take a call if I can. Boop. Come on, work with me. Oh, well, maybe you guys will hear my phone call. I'm not sure which.
Oh, that'll be great.
Oh, I know. I'm sure it'll be exciting.
Mm-hmm. Wow, I didn't expect to hear both sides of the conversation. Now, I actually had an interesting interaction today on
Yes.
on Discord. I got a direct message from somebody I didn't know
Okay.
who was saying that he was a big fan of the bar series that I've been playing with you, Eric.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, I am somebody. Look
You
at
are
me.
famous. You're 15 minutes of fame. Yeah.
Exactly. Anyway, he was currently playing scenario one of Fontenoy to kind of work out how the bar system works, and so he sent me a screenshot to ask basically a rules question. If I want to move like this and this, what does the sunken road do to me? And that was a good question because actually the sunken roads are really confusing, and it's not helped by the fact that there actually is both a regular rule and then an advanced rule for how to deal with the sunken roads.
Right.
So I explained both of those, and I was glad to offer what I could. And anyway, but apparently that's all because he must have watched. Whether he watches live or watches the videos afterwards, I don't know. But hello, Vexer311.
Well, good. And I was telling both Albert and Alan when I chatted with them earlier that I'm really enjoying the bar system. And in large part, it's because of how patient you've been, um, teaching teaching it. Let's see here. Jeremy Harris says, "Yeah, Michael helped me out big time today. I appreciated it." So that must be
Hey,
his. That must be his. Jeremy is. That must have been his alias there on
you
Discord.
have unmasked yourself, sir.
Exactly. Exactly. So, but yeah, I
No,
mean, the
I,
system is
I
very
love.
intimidating. I mean, you thought La Bataille is intimidating. I mean,
Right.
this is more intimidating because you've got the whole how many movement points does it cost to turn this way or that
Oh yeah.
way and everything
Just the
else.
simplest thing
Yeah,
seems so like, well, wait, and why does turning right cost more than turning left? What is even going on? Yeah. And if somebody's not there to explain it, yeah, you can get kind of overwhelmed by it. So This is something Paul Borchers did for me.
Right.
He was nice enough to take me through. Actually, I think it was scenario one of Prague was actually the first time I ever pushed counters. And scenario one of Prague is basically what's going on with your Grenadiers and the Austrian Grenadiers.
Okay.
It's just the little sliver of the battle right there in the middle,
Right.
and you've got some ridiculously short number of turns as the Prussians to bum rush the Austrians. And pro tip, you're not going to.
Yeah. Yeah.
you, you're welcome to try, but there's a reason I've been telling you to be cautious because you get shot up pretty bad. Um, and it doesn't matter how good your men are if they get hit by a cannonball at 6x range. They're elite men are just as dead as rookies are.
Yep.
But anyway, so he was able to share the system with me, and this is my chance to share the system with other folks. And I like teaching, and I've had an awful lot of fun with this system. Why wouldn't I want other people to enjoy it too, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
Hey, so what is the reaction zone for what we would call an opportunity charge? So not a reaction charge, but an opportunity charge. So if somebody moves within two of your front hexes, or what's the range for that?
Okay, that's a fair one. I'm pretty sure that it is also two hexes. Opportunity charge is a form of close combat that occurs during the movement segment only when an active unit performs any time a movement, formation, and or facing change within two hexes of a reactive cavalry unit. So yeah, it's and that's actually an interesting thing. A couple of things to bear in mind there. One of them is it doesn't matter what your charge range is. Because depending upon the scenario and which side you're on, your charge range could be anything from 1 to 4.
Right.
But your reaction charge, opportunity charge range is 2.
Okay.
Regardless. And let me see. Op charge is special cavalry movement, not regular movement, does not expend movement points. And an opportunity charge doesn't trigger opportunity fire or an opportunity charge.
Right.
So actually it's interesting because they do point out that it's special cavalry movement, not regular movement. Yeah, but they don't really specify. So they specify a distance, 2 hexes.
Okay.
And generally speaking, I'm trying to figure out what that really means, because special cavalry movement could obviously, some terrain could cost more than 1 to move into. So what I'm trying to figure out is, do you have 2 special cavalry movement points? In other words, if it's not clear terrain, you can't really do it at 2 hex range. Maybe you have to wait till 1 hex range. That's actually a really interesting question I've never thought about before. Oh, well, I feel like a Talmudic scholar sometimes. I'll figure out the intricacies of all of this. So, but I know exactly where special cavalry movement is mentioned in 11.10, so we'll look at that perhaps another time. Yeah, so, if you're one of these factions that gets, 4 hex charge range,
right,
obviously you're going to have a huge advantage, even if the other guy successfully countercharges you.
Right.
Because, he's not going to get to countercharge you much. He'll probably get 1 hex. And you'll still have gotten 3.
Right.
If you optimize things. So you're very much still at an advantage, even if the other guy... And to be fair, it's definitely worth it for the defender to go ahead and try.
Right.
Obviously, you run the risk of becoming shaken because you fail your morale check. But on the other hand, if you succeed in there, it's a difference in the die roll of 2.
Right.
Between letting the other guy get all the way to 4 hex range, or him getting 3 and you getting 1.
Right.
Obviously, that difference of 2 might be enough to save your bacon.
Right.
David said we could go ahead and roll, and I guess if we get a move, we could just go ahead and move.
Okay, well,
So,
you traditionally roll first
for reasons quite unknown, it is me who goes
because
first. So
you are the senior bar player.
Oh, I guess I am.
Yeah.
Quite right. I hadn't thought of that. Well,
In
let's see how
spite
this.
of your youth,
We'll see.
in
Yes.
spite
We'll
of your
see if
considerable youth, you are the senior bar player.
Well, it's clearly not clean living. And then just to complicate matters, it's his move anyway.
There
So
you go.
all right, but at least we gave it a try.
We did. You didn't roll well enough. Next time.
Oh,
Next time.
seniority apparently doesn't yield everything you might want. So let's see. Yeah, what else? So yeah, I wrapped up the Fontenoy game that had been on my. Actually, it's funny because I've got a game room. It's where my boys. It was my boys' bedroom until they moved out, and got a table in there, and I set up Fontenoy on the 26th of February,
Oh, wow.
and just took it down this weekend.
Well, and you were playing it what? Once or twice a week, just kind of plucking away a turn or two? Or
Yeah. It was just kind of when time would allow, and yeah, just kind of sit down, do it for a while, and of course, nice thing about bar being pretty procedural, it's pretty clear where you are, even if you get called away in the middle of something.
Right.
Well, what leaders are flipped over? Where are you on the time track? It's like, oh, you're right. I am clearly in the middle of a turn because the end turn marker is about halfway down. Let's look across the field. Who's moved? Who hasn't moved?
Right.
Chuck some dice and go. So it's a good one for that, to be able to just pick up in little morsels. And really, it can be a pretty little morsel, right? Because individual activations don't necessarily take very long.
Right.
So yeah, and then I take pictures and post them, just because what's the point of playing if you don't get to share the experience?
Well,
Plus,
we've
actually,
disappointed
I
our
enjoy it.
viewers. Jeremy was asking for a 0 on the first roll, so sorry, Jeremy. We will have
Wow,
to.
yeah, I'm sorry. About
I'm
that.
sure we will be rolling plenty of zeros
There's probably something
as the game
really,
goes by.
really juicy. Actually, it's funny. There was.
Did I win yet?
You
I
did.
believe you did. Yes. Well, I rolled a 37, so you win.
Yep, that's how it works. Game's over.
Well, I thought we really had you too, but
Yep.
no.
But no, just it all came down to that one die roll. So
It was the veritable 3-1 at Tobruk in Africa.
Oh, what a
yeah.
game that was.
yeah.
That's
I'm showing the
Africa,
page.
Africa Core. Yes, that brings back some memories. So,
Or like World in Flames trying to take Gibraltar.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God.
Never played World in Flames.
Oh.
But,
If you want to talk about a game that sits on your table for a long time,
yeah,
that one would do it.
I can imagine.
Yeah, Robert and I would furiously play that. We'd get together a couple times a week. It was on his mom's dining room table, and we'd set it up as soon as the Christmas holidays were over and she wasn't going to entertain. And we'd keep it up through like until Thanksgiving. And then sometimes she wouldn't host Thanksgiving. So we'd get a reprise of another couple of weeks to try to play it before we had to take it down.
I did not know that. You're such a Napoleonic guy. It never occurred to me.
Oh my gosh, yeah. No, World in Flames. We love that game. Absolutely loved it. We played Third Reich. We played that one all the time. And then when World in Flames came along, we're like, oh, this is perfect. It takes Third Reich in all the directions that Third Reich is missing with the economy and everything else.
Right.
So
I think the only thing about World in Flame, and I've never played it, never even seen it in person, but whenever I see the screenshots, and of course I understand there have been a lot of different versions, and so what I'm saying may not even apply, but boy, I don't like the looks of the map. It's ugly.
Yeah, the map
I can't even
is.
picture it. So.
Yeah, the map is. It is utilitarian.
Yeah, it's
But
functional.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
right.
functional, but it's not pretty at all. You
Yeah.
know. So let's see.
But
We
I know
got
some people who are, big fans of it, so I
yeah.
just didn't know you were one of them. All right.
Let's see. Let's see. William writes, after your live stream with Mark, I ordered the Dresden game from NES. I am considering ordering his game after I swoop down to Ohio to relieve my cousin of the games he's been holding for me. Yeah, that saves you some shipping instead of going it to Canada, William. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah. Well, and we'll see. I know that Winter's Victory is expected to be released and shipped sometime in late August. I asked Mark if he'd be ready for Consim because Michael, I thought that might be a fun one for you and I to try. But
Oh wow.
well,
Yeah.
maybe we'll play that lock and load Vimero or something like that instead. If you're up for that.
Yeah. I don't have anything scheduled for Consim World yet. I've got a couple of lines in the water with
Okay.
some folks that I've played games with before, but nothing firm. So
Okay. Well,
yeah, let's talk
try to
about it.
set away the first two, 3 or 4 days for me, and we'll
Oh,
try to
that's right,
play.
because you're only going to be there for the first part, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I gotta get back and actually do my job of teaching people how to fence. So what can you do?
Alas.
All right. Well, David,
Yes.
not to put you on the spot, but it's your activation.
Oh, it's my activation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We
It's
tried to
for you.
we tried to get our own activation, but obviously all those rumors about the vassal die rolls being fixed are
Right.
true. Are true. So
We're just hoping that you had lots of wine at your fancy dinner in Granville.
Actually, let's see. I had to rum first and then wine, but
Okay, now.
but who's
all right.
counting?
So I've got to figure out something to activate here, and
Yeah, I'm afraid to do.
nothing has moved, and I'm
Nothing has moved.
okay. So let's see. Do I want to do anything here? No, there's too many guys there. So I'm looking at the area around Key,
So
Kai, whatever,
We're
Kedge.
we've
calling
been
it
calling it
Kej.
Kedge just because we don't speak Czech and we're barbarians.
Um, so the right hook is doing me absolutely no good there. That
Um,
correct
yes, in fact,
statement?
it's even maybe worse than that.
Right.
Yes.
And all right, so let's see. So if I activate the guy on top of that, who is WD,
That's Veed.
Or Vide.
Vide.
well,
Vide.
well, it's different in different places.
Well, he's German, so I'm assuming we're doing it the German way.
No, he's Austrian. Haven't you
Oh,
watched your Indiana Jones? There's a difference
last
between how Germans say goodbye and Austrians say goodbye.
is
So,
that right? I have
you,
not watched my Indiana
oh my
Jones.
gosh, yeah, it was one of the classics from Indiana Jones 3, where he and his dad are kidnapped in the castle, and the little Austrian girl gives Indiana Jones this big kiss, and then the German guy punches Indy or whatever, and they say that's how we say goodbye in Germany, kind of a thing. Yes, yeah.
Ah, very nice.
All right. So you're activating Vide.
Yeah, I think so. Then I'd beat food, but
Vide, Vide, Vo, Vum.
and I'm activating the guy that's also on his underneath him.
Right. So he's attaching the
Attaching.
Cool
Right.
Fusiliers to his activation. Yes.
Right. So now let me just figure out what I'm going to do with that.
And I don't know. Is he? Where is his wing leader?
Does he have a wing leader? I don't think he.
Yeah, he does. Okay.
He's with Cool,
Right.
right? And
was just trying to put
Cool
eyeballs
is.
Where?
I don't know that Cool is on the map.
Yeah, I don't think.
Because
he
unless
came
there's.
marching. He's the one that came marching on up there.
Yeah, he's marching in from the west. So Petroni and Veed are reinforcements that were kind of being march
But
off from
without
the
their wing leader.
yeah without their wing leader. Yeah,
Really?
yeah. Cool is not in this scenario.
All right.
Yeah, because we were looking for him the last time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. We get the opportunity to.
Right.
But I mean,
learning
that I guess you'd roll to see if he's in command. But then, does it really matter with what you might be doing?
It might very well not.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess that's the first thing I have to roll to see if he's in command. He actually may be. Yes,
Yeah.
he's in command. All right. So I can do whatever I want to do.
Whatever I want.
All right.
So would you do fired first?
You would fire first, for sure, if
fire
you haven't
first.
got any disorder recovery to do, which it doesn't look like you do.
Right. So it looks like this guy would take a shot, right?
And
And then I don't know if the artillery is there would do stuff too.
If you choose to activate them.
By the way, how does my sound guys?
I haven't had any trouble with it at all. It sounds
Okay.
fine.
Cool.
yeah, you sound great.
I got a new microphone, and so this is the first. Well, I used it a little bit last night with Brennan and our live stream, but just wanted to make sure it was sounding good
Right.
for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Actually, I had a strange experience the other day. I took my laptop from over here
Mm-hmm.
and I put it at my desk, and so I then plugged in my headphones. And somebody said, "What did you just do?" I said, "What are you talking about?" They said, "Wow, your sound just got way worse."
Ah.
Wait a minute. You're telling me that the built-in microphone on my laptop is better than these headphones are? That is weird, but I don't know if it's true or not. I am using the headphones right now.
Yeah.
They
No,
sound
you
all
sound
right.
fine. Yeah, you sound fine, Michael.
Maybe somebody's just messing with me.
Maybe. Now, okay, it's just because I'm going between rule sets here.
Yeah.
Artillery, if I activate this artillery here,
Uh-huh.
can they also fire at the same time on this with this infantry here and this infantry here?
Well, I mean, they can't fire at the same time because infantry and artillery never fire together except
okay.
for defensive fire. So no, so they would fire separately. Could they fire at the same target? That's an interesting question. I think they could. I don't think there's any reason why this. No unit may be fired at more than twice per fire combat segment, once by infantry fire, one by artillery fire.
Okay.
So,
All right, so I'm going to activate this artillery with it. I might as well activate the other artillery here too, because
All right.
well, let's see.
You're in the neighborhood.
Two, yeah, they're there. Yeah, I'll activate them too. So, all right. So we're gonna have fire first. All right. So these two stacks will fire on here. So what's three get the fire or four get the fire?
Well, so actually, in this hex, 4 strength points get to fire. From this hex, I think 1 is all that gets to fire because um,
It says
being
right hook.
in hook means that those are the hexes that you can fire the full increments at. And in this case, of course, your path is half blocked, so you can't even fire the 2 you'd usually fire. You can only fire 1. You'd ordinarily be able to fire 2 at him if this guy weren't in the way.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yep, that's what I'm seeing here on the fire combat chart.
Two. What's
So it's,
five?
yeah.
Five.
I'm not sure what our multipliers are, whether it even helps you to have that extra strength point firing at 2 hex range.
Yeah, I'm just.
Those are Fusiliers. So they'd be ×2, so it would be just 2 points. And then the other chap is a Fusilier, so he's going to be 8 points. So you'd have 10. So
That's 1 to 1.
it's a 1-to-1 from what I can tell.
Wait a
And
minute. Are you
then-
telling me that these guys only have a multiplier of ×2?
Yep.
Oh no, they're
Holy-
×3. They're ×3 because they're
At
1
hex
hex.
range.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, okay.
So that's
so
going to
yeah,
be
so the
12, so
difference
it's going to be
is-
14.
Yeah, the difference is 12 or 14. It's 1 to 1 either way.
Yeah.
All right, so I won't fire them. So okay, I can fire this one then at this here at 2 hexes, right, and get the full.
Yeah, because then you can actually fire 8 strength points, or 4 strength points ×2.
Yep.
Yeah. So one to. All right, so we'll do the top one there first.
All right. And the top one is going to be at +15 for the target size. So it's going to be 1 to 1 +15.
Plus 15 for the target.
Yeah, there's 2 battalions stacked on top of each other.
Ah.
Yeah, you've got, what, 13 increments there? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
All right. No, that's not enough to do anything at 1 to 1.
That is. That's a 73 for a hit.
Oh.
And it's a morale check for being an even die roll. So, yeah, heck yeah, it was. Yeah, because 58 itself wasn't going to be enough, but by the time you add the +15, it sure is. So I will roll a morale check for that stack. And they're not very good, but they're good enough to pass that. Memory serves, they kind of crap.
Yeah, they're not that crap, though.
Oh, well, wait a minute. I think it's the bottom unit must be.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
the bottom unit's not near as good as the upper one.
Right.
Upper ones, yeah.
All right. So the
So,
next one
anyway.
is. Oh, he's already got 2 hits on him. All right, but this one to here, 1 to 1.5, right?
Yep.
Right. 1 to 1.5, that's right, yep.
That to anything,
That
No.
is not enough.
and then this artillery here,
Mm-hmm.
there.
Okay, and it's still +15. What's his, he's 2 increments of 6-pounders at 3 hex range.
Yeah.
×7, so it's going to be 14.
All right, right, so another 1-to-1 plus 15 then.
And I get also plus 5 for the fortification, plus 2 downhills, plus another 15, right? So plus 30.
Okay, plus
Yep.
30 then.
So that'd be 105.
So that's 2 more increments.
But that was odd. So, or no, that's even. So that's another morale check, right?
No, it's odd. It was a 75.
Oh, 75. I was adding the 7 and 5 in that.
Right, yeah. All right, what else you got?
All right, so now I guess we're to movement.
Well, you said you were going to activate that other artillery unit, but I'm not super sure who you were planning on shooting at with it.
Yeah, excuse me. Let's go to the guy here on the end.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5. That's 5. And 5 for the 6-pounders is
Times 5, so that's going to
Five.
be 10. 1-to-1.
1 plus 10, because
Right.
that one. So 49, 59 at 1 to 1.
That is
Nope.
not going to get her done.
Nope.
Nope. So
Now the
that's
hair, your chinny chin chin, as it were.
yes.
Alrighty.
So, now movement. All right. So
Right. Now the interesting part about hooks is that, at least to my knowledge, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about hooks, but to my knowledge, a left hook and a right hook aren't the same thing, just inverted. Meaning, I believe that you're required to actually come out of hook and, well, I'm not sure if you can choose which way you're facing when you come out of the hook. Actually, it's probably worth a look to see what the rules are about that.
my guess
It
I
actually would make
be
more sense
facing
to
the
me.
way they're facing, right?
It would make more sense to me if you could choose to resolve the hook in either direction, right? That you could either bring the rest of the line up along with the hook and now be facing right, or to go, dress the line back forward. And I'm not 100% sure what it says about that. It may not matter what you're doing, to be honest with you. Unit in hook formation may only change to line formation, and a unit must be in line formation to change to hook. The cost to change from one to the other is 1 movement point. Only one end of the line may become the hook. Both single and multiple hex lines may become hooks, but the line hook cannot change its length with the change. It really doesn't say. In this case, I don't think it really matters. If you wanted to face east, assuming that's what you wanted to do,
Well,
maybe it isn't.
if I stay facing the way I'm facing, this is still not a flank hex, right? Because of the support behind it. Is that correct?
No, that's a wrong system.
Yep. No, it is still hanging out in
this-
space.
No, because he is in hook.
Yes.
So that is not a flank hex because you're in hook.
Yep.
That is a front hex. But if you were in line and facing the way you're currently facing, that is to say this way, then that is a flank, even though there's somebody right here. So you don't even really have hooks in La Bataille, do you?
Nope.
Because basically just having somebody next to you kind of causes it to not be a problem.
Yeah. In most of the rules,
Right.
they have the sort of refused flank.
Right.
So
So
that way,
to be clear, though, obviously, if I'm here, I don't have the luxury of being able to ignore these guys, right? Even though I am in your flank, it's still like I do have the small matter of having to deal with the guys that are standing right there. So it's not like I've got a totally free shot anyway. Anyway, I guess my point is simply this: the rules are a little ambiguous about what is the method exactly of how you come out of line or out of hook. I've always just kind of played it that you go from being in hook facing one way to being in line facing the same way.
Right.
And that's one movement point. Of course, obviously, it's just one more movement point for you to just turn to the right. And now you are facing to the right, if that's what you wanted.
Right.
But kind of intuitively, I guess I don't really know enough about the drill manuals to know really what a hook was, and would that have been possible for these guys to just bring the left side forward and now be facing to the right? I don't know if the drill manuals would allow that or not. I don't have any idea.
well, I mean, from my days in marching band, all they're really doing is just kind of wheeling. If they're going to be facing to the east, right?
I
That
mean,
left half of it is, but
the main thing is whether you're going to get one or two shots at me.
That is the only actual question, yes.
oh,
Yeah, that's the only reason why it really matters. I don't know. It feels like it should be 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Like you really ought to be able to go into line facing in either of the two directions, either the way you're hooked or the way you're already facing. Feels right to me, but the rules don't seem to say.
I'm gonna. I think. I think the rules are kind of assuming when you come out, you're in facing in the way you're facing.
That's the way I've always assumed up till
Right.
now. Yeah.
And I'll do that. So you're gonna get two shots at me because I'm gonna.
What a deal!
Um,
All right, so you come out of
well,
hook.
all right. Now. All right. So I'm also gonna move one of the units out of there.
Well, you gotta come out of hook first
Okay. That's the
because you can't move. Well, you sure can't back up if that's what you're imagining you're gonna do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So we're coming out of hook, whatever. So.
Line backup movement, I'm sure, is not hook. Right, exactly.
You get a shot here.
All right, so I get a shot. Woo! All right, so what have I got? I got 6 increments that can see you. 2 and 4. And they're at 2 hex range, and they're what, times 2?
times 2. So that's 12.
So 6 times 2, that's 12. That sounds like 1 to 1. 1 to 1 looks like plus 10 for size. Because you got, what, 9
He's
increments?
got 9 increments there, yeah.
And the hex, so plus 10, plus 10, plus 10. And when you roll like this, brother, that plus 10 actually doesn't matter at all. Okay. All right.
All right.
All that excitement.
Mm-hmm. All right, so now you are in line.
Now let's see. So probably you're going to get 3 shots at him because I want to pull. I want to pull the ST. The ST guy there, the KHE, I want to pull him back.
Okay, where you want to pull him back to?
Well, there.
Okay, so you're going to do that before you then shift facing. Is that what you mean? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All
So
right.
you get another shot at the
All
stack,
right.
right?
You know what? You're gonna see how a fella can roll. You are just gonna see. Are you ready? Here we go.
That's even better, Michael.
I, I got mad skills,
Yeah,
brothers.
you could have rolled,
The,
could have rolled zero or something like
see,
that,
see, the good news is what I'm doing is I'm saving it all up for the end when I don't have that plus 10 crutch.
There you go.
Yeah. So bring it on.
All right. So I want to move the 5 4 in the stack below it into that square, and then I want to face them both to the. Does that work?
Um, I guess, sure, yeah.
5 4 from here, and then I.
I mean, I think I'm okay with it.
All right. So he's gonna go on the bottom. Or actually, let me see if I want him on the bottom or the top. Want him on the bottom.
You're kind of disappointing me because now I'm going to get my plus 10 again. But
Yeah.
whatever you say, boss.
Well, you're gonna get it in it one way or the other, because or you actually get an extra shot if I delay it and then move him in and then turn him. Once he gets in there, it's another shot.
Whatever. All right. Yeah, but I don't get. Do I get a shot there? I don't think I do because you
Hold
just
on a
moved
second.
in. That wasn't a formation change or a facing change in the hex. So
Right.
I don't get a shot for that. I get a
You
shot when
don't.
you decide to turn.
Right. But if I turn first, then you get a shot, and then if I move this one in and turned it,
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, yeah.
then that would be an extra shot, right?
All
So
right.
I move him first, whatever.
All
Okay.
right.
So did I get him in there?
So my question is, can you? So this unit that's here on the top came out of wing,
Yes.
right?
A hook.
and
Yes.
and so then you moved another unit, and then now you've moved another unit, and now
Yeah.
you're back to the unit you
Yeah.
originally started
Yeah.
with, and you're turning. Is that how it works? Because I know usually in Labatai, once you move a counter, you can't, even if it's got movement points left, you can't go back to it later,
You
kind of a
are
thing. So
you
am
are
I okay?
actually you are actually quite correct that I was sitting there kind of head scratching a little bit, trying to figure out how did I really feel about all this. It is very involved. This going back and forth. You are quite right, and I don't 100% know. Uh,
I mean, otherwise it could get very messy, I would think,
well, it could
because
be, yeah.
yeah,
But then,
because
in if you went strictly by all those, I'd never even be able to do this. But why wouldn't I? I mean, there's nothing.
Move.
One
Yeah.
one unit's pulling back, the other one's coming in and taking a position in the line. It's like
no, that's not what I'm talking
I
about.
know
I'm
what you're
talking about,
understanding.
yeah, it's the BET unit. It should have, after it came out of the whatever it was, the hook, it should have turned the other way, right? And then the other unit on top could have then pulled back, right? And then both of them would be done with their movement. And then the new unit
And
moves in,
now
and
we're
then
at
it does
two.
its thing.
You know, and then do we have four different shots at me because this, whatever.
Yeah. I'm just sitting here taking a look at this, and I've kind of.
I mean, I'll go with whatever. I'm not the, but I'm just trying to. My eventual is I want to get this in and I want to get that in the line.
No,
And however
totally
many shots.
Yeah,
understandable.
I don't think there's anything. I don't think we're saying that you couldn't do this. I'm just saying that the final turn, the BET should have done that. If they were going to be facing east, they should have turned east when they came out of the hook, right? And then they're done with their movement, and then the KEH guys would have moved,
Well,
and
would
then you get
admit
the
that it
next guy's
is.
in, right?
It is certainly you have read in rule sets in the past. Each unit must move. By itself. Before any other units can move. I'm not sure I actually see that in these rules, but it is a common trope
Right.
in rules writing, and for good reasons, because I mean we're all watching very carefully, and we can all be sure that he's not using too many movement points. And okay, fair enough. Um, what it does say is move each unit individually or as a stack, counting off the movement points expended as it moves from hex to hex. The unit can only move into one of its front hexes, except for line backup or skirmish backup. It can only change direction by making a facing change first. Uh, Units move one hex at a time, paying the terrain cost for each hex entered or hex side crossed. Units that move as a stack must begin their movement segment stacked. As a stack moves, a unit in the stack may end its movement while the rest of the stack continues to move. A dropped-off unit may not resume its movement later in the segment. A unit may not join a stack while the stack is moving. That is to say, a
You
stack may not
can't
pick
pick
up
somebody up,
units
yeah.
as it moves. A stack may end its movement in an occupied hex if it can legally stack with the non-moving unit and create a new stack. None of that really very directly addresses this, but it is a little messy. Oh,
No,
actually,
it
actually,
perfectly
you know what?
it
No,
perfectly
actually,
describes what this is. I don't.
actually, I take it all back,
Yeah.
because units can be in the course of their movement, not in the facing or formation they need to be. As long as they are either in the correct facing or formation by the end of the turn, or they're no longer in that hex, then it's okay. So follow me this way. The the cool Fusiliers, they themselves come out of hook,
Right.
not BET. BET
Ah.
hasn't moved at all.
Okay.
The cool Fusiliers get out of hook and then line back up to get out of the hex.
Okay.
BET hasn't moved at all. Next thing, the other guys, the 5-4, the Vide Fusiliers,
Right.
move in.
No, they were already in.
No. The BET guys were there.
Oh yeah. Okay.
All right. Then and only then does BET move to get out of line and to turn to the right to match the other guy who's already come in and turned to the right. So they can all actually move individually, and the fact that they are temporarily not in the same facing or formation is not a problem. It's that just they have to be able to get to the end state with the movement points available to them.
Okay. So I don't think we had a question about that, but I guess it's the question of how much opportunity fire is this triggering.
All
So
right,
obviously we've got something when the Kuhl Fusiliers come out of hook, that's going to trigger something, and then they move away, that triggers something, right?
Correct.
And then the Vide Fusiliers move in. Does that trigger something?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
Because that's moving into a hex 2 hexes away. It's
Right.
not something happening in the hex.
So then
Leaving the
so
hex
then
is
the Vide Fusiliers change facing.
yes.
That triggers something.
Yes.
Okay. And then the BET comes
And
out of
that would
hook,
and that would be a fourth one.
and then the BET changes its facing.
Yes.
Okay.
No. I'm not going to go for 5.
And by the way,
I'll go for 3, and I will go for 4 if you do. If the fourth one would be with only 5 left before the other one moves in.
I'm sorry, I didn't follow that.
Okay, because we did the one for me coming out of hook,
Yep.
Yes.
and to me that's both of them come out of hook because that's the way it is. You go into hook as two. You be coming out as 2 different units.
Well, but you're not actually. Then you're moving the whole stack, right?
Yep.
Okay. So then, are you going to change facing with the whole stack before the Kuhl Fusiliers move out.
I am cool with the cool Fusiliers moving out. I took the hit. I took the shot from that. Now, um, the if you're going to make me do two more hits, I'll do the facing change now, where there's only five in there, and so
Well,
take the hit, take the
so
shot.
so no, I mean the way the rules that Michael read about the stack, right? In this case, BET is the unit that's left behind in the movement.
Right.
So you would need to
He's
move
finishing
it,
up his movement. He's finishing up his movement and moving and changing facing.
right? So he's changing facing.
So he takes
Um,
a shot.
no, so they would need to change facing while they're still together before the other one pulls out because
No, he doesn't.
once
Why would he have to do that?
because the rule says that if you drop off a unit in the stack, that's BET, their movement's done.
I didn't drop BET.
Did they move back with Cool?
Well, no. If they're all moving individually and not moving as a stack,
Right, but
then
what David is trying to say is that he's taking both Cool and BET out of the right hook at the same time, as if it's a stack.
I see what you're
Right?
saying. Yes, you're quite
And
right.
so therefore he would need to then turn them because then BET is being left behind as Cool moves out and BET is left behind. Otherwise, he would, if he's moving them separately, then he takes Cool out of the hook, then moves Cool back. Then he can then have BET
I don't
come
think
out
the
of.
rules really actually handle this, and that's a lot of shots for
Well,
what
so
we're trying to do.
and by the way, let's be clear.
Okay.
This exact reason is why there's what I refer to as the MG42 optional rule. And the MG42 optional rule is one I play with when I play solo because it is a little bit of extra bookkeeping. And that is that every time you fire in a turn,
It's -5.
it's -5 every time you fire. So what the effect of that is even if you get lots of opportunity fire shots, each one of them is successively less and less likely to actually do any harm than the previous ones did.
Right, because there's just
And
so much bloody smoke out there.
well, yeah, and not only that, but I mean, who are we kidding? I mean, that's why I call it the MG42 rule. It's like, wait a minute, I'm only allowed to fire once per turn offensive fire, but I'm allowed to do 6 opportunity fires? It's like, that doesn't make any sense, right?
Right.
So, unfortunately, it is awkward because it means you end up having to track how many times a unit's fired, which is a little cumbersome.
Right.
But it does prevent exactly these sorts of scenarios from being a problem. And yet, I mean, I think you'll have to agree, David, what you're trying to do is a relatively involved bit of evolutions in the face of the enemy. So it's not surprised that you're doing a lot of maneuvering and twisting and turning and all having to do it not on a parade ground, but having to do it with the enemy 150 yards away.
Right, and as I said, I'll take 4, but I think it could be done with 3, but I'll take 4, but I don't think I can't agree with 5 shots. I don't know.
I mean, it's not a question of what it is. It's just how we. To be honest with you guys, I'm learning the game system, so based on how we could do it, right? The idea of what if we think about it being the whole hex or a stack, and the stack comes out of stuff, and then the stack is maneuvering and doing things, and then one of the units that's on the stack moves away, and another one is left behind. That's kind of one way of approaching it. The other way of approaching it is that the Kuhl Fusiliers are doing their own thing and
All right.
suffering whatever
This
fire
is getting
happens.
too complicated.
Yeah.
All right, we did the thing. We did the right now, these guys were still here in here. They took the shot. Now they're backing up. You get one more shot.
What? I've
At
taken my 2 shots.
no, you get a third because I came out of hook and I turned with these guys in this stack.
Right.
Came out of hook
Yep. So
You
he.
got a shot.
Yep. So the
I
whole.
turned. You got
Yep.
a shot.
turned,
And then he's pulling back.
and
So then
now
that's the
he's
third
backing
one.
out.
Yep.
So this is now the third one.
Yep.
Right. And it's at whatever plus 10 for.
Boom, 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 boom.
So just go ahead and roll.
Okay, of course, he'd be facing east.
This guy, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, it's a 93.
Yes.
And
So
what
that-
were we shooting at?
It's a one hit,
It's
right?
1 to 1, so it's one hit.
All right. So I'm not moving this other guy out up into the other one, but I am moving the one in behind into here. So let me.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense.
All right.
Well, and I don't know that it would have been 5 because if this guy had moved in and then changed
The
facing,
way you were doing it, it was 5 because he would have had to turn when he got in there, and you know. It
oh,
was,
okay.
all right. Okay.
I think it would have been 4, actually.
Yeah, looking at it now, it
But
would
this
have
is
been 4,
nice
but-
because it's 3, so you're done.
I'm done. I took my hit. Let's see the other thing I want to
What
do.
else we got?
I'm going to activate this guy.
I
too.
was wondering
Yeah.
why you hadn't, actually. Yeah.
Now, how much?
2 to unlimber, if that's what you mean.
Right, but what can I stack? What's the maximum amount of infantry I can stack with?
Oh, with the artillery?
Yeah.
If only I had my.
Let's see. Well, it's clear terrain. I'm showing
It's probably a lot.
16 in line. And then what do artillery count? Are they worth
They count
4?
for 4. Yep. they do.
So you could put him with 8 increments of infantry from what I'm looking at, right?
All right.
For a
So
total
I'm
of
gonna
How
do
do I
1,
not have a
2
There it
on
is.
limber here.
One, 2, and unlimber there. Yep. Nope. That makes perfect sense. That's that fits.
All right.
All right.
And that means feed is finished.
And there was much rejoicing. All right.
Okay. I'm going to be on mute for just a moment.
Going first is definitely helpful to you, no matter what you think. All right, Eric.
My turn. All right. Let's go ahead and roll those dice. 22. Wow. That's one for the good guys. Or the alleged good guys. Is there anything in particular that you want to do?
Yeah, what I want to do is ask where my needles all went. I swear I just fished some needles out of my pocket. Okay. I had no idea where they went. All right. Well, good times. Sorry. So is there anything that needs doing urgently? Is effectively your question?
Yes. Otherwise, I would like to try to do something with my cavalry down here, where I can maybe
Right.
get a jump on him before he's able to
Well,
reassemble
yeah. I mean,
some kind of line.
I think what I'm going to say is that by him going first, this is the kind of the pros and cons of going first, right? Is that now I'm under no particular obligation to do much with Leschwitz
Right.
because he's already done what he's going to do over there. So
Right.
from that perspective, yeah, you could choose to get the jump elsewhere with the cavalry if you want. Um, get the jump on him down there. So yeah, if you want to, by all means.
Okay. Should I do something with the light cavalry, or well, I think the heavy cavalry? I could catch him on the flank a couple of these places, kind of a thing.
Yeah, it seems like maybe the heavy cavalry makes more sense just because there's already action engaged there, and then the
Right.
light cavalry can still be able to do stuff later.
Okay. Well, I
Seems like.
think what I'll do is activate um, Württemberg. Right. He's with this,
Okay.
and I've got some people that are with him. Yeah. In fact, most of these guys with the blue jackets.
Basically, the second line.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Agreed. Right. Right. Makes perfect sense.
Okay. All right. Well, I've got one chap over here who's disordered, so I guess I need to roll for him first. See
Yeah.
if he comes
Makes
out of
good
order.
sense.
41.
Probably it's only +5, so unless he's
Yeah, he's fine.
he's back to properly in order. I guess none of the rest of his troops have been engaged yet, right?
I'm looking at the people in the back. These all look like they're all part of the other group, I believe.
Okay. All
So,
right. Alrighty. And it looks like
yeah.
everyone is in command range.
Yep.
Yep. So you ought to be fine there. So everyone in command. Your charge range is what, 4?
4. Yeah.
All right. So obviously, some of your guys look like they scarcely need to move. Although be mindful that going up slope could have SCM implications if memory serves.
Right.
So just be sure your charge path doesn't require
right.
you to go up.
Well, this would be down a
no,
slope.
I'm sorry,
I think,
it doesn't. Only steep slopes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't think I've got any issues with this.
Okay.
So would it make sense to like move this guy back here so that way he's got a running start?
Actually, first of all, actually, it just I'm gonna make a note to myself that this guy who backed up there by Kej needs to roll a disorder check for having done line backup movement, and the reason I think of it, of course, is because that's the reason you might not want to.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
On the one hand, you're right. You are adding 1 hex to your charge. On the other hand, you're running the risk of being disordered.
All right. So,
On the other hand, if they're really good troops and you got a leader with them, then maybe that's not something or maybe it's something you're willing to gamble on. Put it that
right.
way.
Okay. Well, let's see here. So I've got.
Boy, yeah, you got a bunch of guys.
Yeah, it's too bad I can't coordinate them together, but that's just the machinations of fate.
You know what? It's a funny thing because it absolutely is advantageous to be able to do them together.
Right.
But many times it's advantageous to be able to 1-2 punch them.
Right.
I mean, at Fontenoy, attacking fortifications, the best thing was to 1-2 punch. Because that way, one unit goes in, probably routes away, who are we kidding, but very likely disorders the defenders. Now, when the second guy comes in, he's facing a defender who's already disordered.
Right.
So, yeah, it depends.
Okay.
So,
I'm trying to figure out.
So
So trying to where can I get people move stuff? Okay, so I think what I'll do is I can hit
and
this guy here, right? I
right, and
can
definitely,
hit
uh,
this guy here.
think
I think right.
I think the thing you need to do is you need to make sure to pin those guys facing you so they can't countercharge
Oh,
and
pin these
and
guys.
prevent. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
exactly. Right. So your order of operations, I think, is going to be really important to make him do whatever he's going to do, and of course, it seems to me you'd want to shade your charge as close to the pond as possible to
Right.
make him charge that way to leave the space open for you to be able to charge in and hit the flanks of those other guys,
Right.
or more likely, who are we kidding, to make them have to turn and face you and take a chance of a disorder check. You're probably
Right.
not going to hit them in the flank. In other words, well, I guess that one you're going to be able to hit him in the flank because he can't react to you. But that one will probably be able to turn and face you and defend a reaction.
Right.
But that precludes countercharging. So
Right.
take your pick. Um, but yeah, it's definitely an order of operations thing there. And then the only question is do you feel like everybody needs to go in, or do you want to just go ahead and hit them with what you got and then leave a couple of guys back to pick off other opportunities? Because frankly, it looks to me like you got four good targets down here,
Right.
and
These ones,
then
1, 2, 3, 4. Right.
agreed,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then uh, what else we got? Then we got this guy, interestingly, who's up here, who could charge this guy. I mean, I guess he could, but boy, I would definitely, in spite of the marsh being there, I would sure want to make sure that this guy is up in a position to be able to support.
Right.
So, I mean, obviously, these guys aren't going to be able to charge through the marsh to get at this guy, but still,
Right.
it's better to have somebody able to mind the store. So, you've got some guys in the back that could be in supporting positions, even if they don't attack this turn. Whether this guy does attack or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, so where should I park this guy? Just right here, you're saying? And then
Probably.
facing that way, or
It doesn't even have to, really, because you think about it, you can't. I mean, what is the effect of charging on the stream?
well, I think
Yeah,
the
I mean,
stream
it's the
costs.
stream hex has got a 2 SCM cost. He's got a 3 hex charge range, right?
Yeah.
So it means that first of all, he could only charge through one of those hexes,
Right.
and he would have to do a disorder check.
Oh, okay.
That's what the star is. Yeah, I mean, you could actually, if you wanted to, move there and face northwest just to be sure as a threat in being. I mean, obviously, if you need to move west, you can just turn and move west, right? But in the meantime, you're doing a job of keeping eyes on these guys up here. So,
Right.
yeah, I mean, that would be okay.
Okay.
The question in my mind is trying to figure out what to do with this guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could bring him down because I can move him 6 before I do the charge, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So
Although, to be fair, if he move, well, no, I take it back. He can move freely because this guy's in his zone of control because he can't countercharge.
right.
He can't op charge if you try to leave. In other words,
Right. But if I brought him, where could I bring him? 1, 2, and you can really only go kind of straight. You can't turn around. Can you turn when you're charging? You're basically just going through your
no,
front hex
no, you
size.
can't.
Yeah.
You can't change facing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whichever
So,
way.
and you have to be able to see the target when you start the charge.
Right.
This isn't La Bataille. Um, oh, John, did I say that out loud? I thought I hit the mute button.
Oh, by the way, that one guy that backed up need to make a disorder check.
Yeah, I think you'd stepped away, but I mentioned that because we were talking about one of his guys needing to do
Yeah,
Yeah.
that.
he's okay.
They're happy.
Okay, very good. Okay. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
heard
All
that
right.
when I was on the talk. I was talking to my son on the phone there. He was
Okay.
calling me for my birthday. So
Oh,
Oh,
is it?
well,
Well,
happy
happy
birthday
birthday,
to
David.
you.
yeah, that was the whole thing going out and everything like that.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Yeah, I
Well,
don't think you
now
mentioned that.
now we know. So we capitulate.
Yep.
We
Well,
quit.
I rolled.
It's your birthday. Yep, you
I
rolled.
rolled the
Yeah,
37. I
yeah.
mean, it was a foregone
Now,
conclusion.
you got it in the wrong order.
There you
It's
go. You're
73.
73.
Oh,
Oh,
73. Oh
there we
my
go.
gosh. Wow. Oh boy. Yeah. So, if you wanted to, Eric, you could move that guy. Just change facing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and he's still facing west, but now he's a hex further back, and he doesn't have to do a disorder check. This guy can move down here and face northwest if you wanted to, and then you just kind of got people in position, and then everybody else goes charging in and causing bedlam, and then maybe this guy moves up to provide support back here for these guys. All of this is just suggestions from your friendly neighborhood king.
There you go. Well,
Yeah,
you're not. You are Frederick the Great for something, right?
for something.
So for
Yeah, at
something.
least in this game I am.
Yeah.
You know,
All right.
my wife and kids don't treat me like that, but whatever.
All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can get these guys there. And then this guy's got to get within 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this guy would come up. So he's then lined up. And then I guess I could put this guy here in reserve. 3, right? And then he
Sorry.
can, this guy that was here,
Oh,
I can move him there, right? So he can kind of cover.
Sure.
Okay.
yeah, as long as you're not blocking anybody's view of somebody that they're going to charge, or
So
maybe he is going to charge.
this guy can see there, right?
Yes, no,
And
he
these guys
absolutely
can
can.
see
Yes,
there, and this guy can
yes,
see
yep.
there. Okay,
Well, yeah, if you want to, yeah.
cool.
So yeah, if you're squared away, then you do you.
All right, let's go ahead. Let's pull the ripcord, baby. Let's go. Well, we're going to do, so I have to get out I have to declare close combat, right?
Who's gonna do close combat? Because
So
somebody is gonna
here,
have to do.
here, and here. Right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What order you want to do them in?
Let's go ahead and do this one here with the Prince of Württemberg.
Wittenberg.
Württemberg. Okay, so we'll roll for him a 20, and let's see here. They're a 20, and then the leader is going to provide something, I'm sure.
Oh wow, they're 20s. Holy smokes.
So he adds, is that 6? So they pass.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
20 was their printed value anyway. So
Oh, do I have to do better or just match it?
no. I'm saying that even without the leader, you were okay because
Oh, okay.
the guys were 20s, so you're good.
Okay. So I'm going to put a charge marker on him. Is that correct?
Um, yeah, sorta. I mean, not exactly.
What should I put instead? A close combat marker on him?
Yeah, I mean, strictly speaking, the way those charge markers officially were supposed to get used is to delineate your charge zone.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because you see the arrows pointing in the angle.
Right.
It's like you'd put that at the two corners of the charge zone facing back.
Right.
Officially.
So like one would go here.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
one would go there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That sort of thing. So then you'd say, okay,
All right.
that's what I'm looking at.
Cool. Then this chap here. And so he's good. And then this chap here. And let's see what he is.
But look at that one.
He's a 20.
Ooh, boy, those guys are good.
And then this chap here. He's fine. And then the last chap over here. He's good too. Okay, so we got them all going in. All right, so let's start down here with this guy first. So we can go 1, 2, 3, and I guess you could try to intercept him, correct?
That's correct. He could roll a morale check if he wanted to, and reaction charge.
Right. So I think I'm gonna try and reaction charge with that.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
Okay, he's done. So he goes.
Forward 1.
there you go.
All right.
And that one is now locked up. Now, all charge movement happens before any individual combat designations happen.
Oh, okay. But
So
all right.
no, so to be clear, you don't necessarily know until you've resolved all the charge movement who's going to be in whose zone of control and who has to fight who.
Okay.
So you got to do all of the moving before you can do anything else.
Okay. All right. So then I guess would it make sense for me to just move up the line or move this guy here to try to catch this guy? What's the general thinking with that? Well, we'll just go. We'll move this guy
Oh,
here.
I see what you're saying. Yes, yes. I would probably go ahead and do that guy. Yeah.
Okay. So 1, 2, 3.
All right. And again, reaction charge option.
Yeah, I'll go to reaction charge. He's a 22, I believe. So he made it.
Ooh. Well, you guys are kind of daring the dice a little bit. Some of these guys.
All right. So then here we've got this guy will go 1, 2, right? And then that's
3, but yes.
okay, 3. All right. Then we've got this guy here, and he can go 1, 2, and 3. And then this guy can go 1, 2.
Okay. So when this guy was here,
Right.
this guy could have elected to do a defender reaction and change his facing if he wanted to.
Oh, okay.
And if he chose to do that, he could then change his facing to something more amenable. And if he did what I would expect him to do, which is move 1 hex point to the east, he would have spent 1 movement point. So he would take a disorder check, adding 10 to it for every movement point he had just spent, so 10. And so basically he's foregone the ability to do a counter charge, but on the other hand, he has got the ability now to be hit in the face instead of the flank at the risk of some chance of being disordered in the process.
Yeah. I think I'm going to take that chance because I have a feeling it's going to be better. So I move.
Probably, yeah.
Whoops.
So you go ahead and, right,
And it's
disorder check plus 10.
25, so I need 35. And
All
he's good. All right.
All right. So then you come on in, finish the charge movement,
Okay.
and now you're hitting him in the face, and you've got that other unit that was going to come up and hit this other guy.
Right.
Right. Okay. Perfect. I think we're all squared away now. So all the charge movement has now happened.
Yes.
Congratulations. Including any defender reactions and counter charge movement. So now we get to individual combat designations. And that is in section 13.6. And basically the rule is that that you've got to attack everybody who's in anybody's EZOC or anybody's ZOC.
Right.
And I think in this case, it looks like you have no choices to make. Because
Yeah.
you got the one at the bottom is getting ganged up by two.
Yep.
The one at the
Here's got
in the
one
middle
guy.
has got one guy in front of him, and these other two guys are each committed to attacking one other guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so at this point, probably ought to think about what order you want to do all those in,
Right.
um, because the outcome of one could have an impact on the next.
So I'll do this one first because this guy's got doesn't have anybody supporting him, right? He's got.
Well, he doesn't have anybody supporting him, so let's talk about that because that's an interesting thing. So, first of all, because they countercharged,
Okay.
they've already passed their morale check.
Oh, okay.
So they don't need to do another morale check. Now, these other two guys are still going to have to do a defender morale check because, after all, they haven't yet needed to.
Does that happen before we declare the combat, or that happens when we declare the combat?
As each combat gets
Okay.
resolved. But anyway, so the whole point of it is this. There's a subtlety, it's easy not to understand, and that is that the mere presence of non-routed enemy units in your flank or rear is enough to add 10 to your morale check.
Right.
But of course, in this case, the guy's already done his morale check. So the fact that these guys are here is meaningless.
Right.
And in the combat itself, they would only provide what's called a passive enfilade of this guy if they were facing this guy.
Right.
Which, of course, neither of them are because, frankly, they got bigger fish to fry.
Yep.
So this guy basically is suffering no ill effect from having these guys in his flank at the moment.
At the moment, right.
Yeah.
But
So-
if he has to make a morale check later as a result of the combat results.
Yeah, and obviously if he has to retreat, he's going to want to retreat this way because he doesn't want to retreat through an enemy zone of control, stuff like
Right.
that. I mean, yes, there's going to be implications. So, yeah, if you want to do that one first, by all means, knock yourself out. The defender has already done his morale check. There is no retreat before close combat. There is no defensive fire, so we go straight to close combat resolution. And, well, the odds are pretty plain. It's 1-to-1. And then just flip the units and let's get a look at what they've got for their other attributes. Looks like they're both +4s. You came charging in 3 hexes. So you're going to get 4 for your printed value. You're going to get 2 because your heavy cavalry and the enemies in your zone of control, and you're going to get 1, 2, 3 more because of the 3 hexes you charged. So that's 9 altogether. He's going to get 4 as a defender, +2 for heavy cavalry. You're in his zone of control, +1 more because he countercharged 1 hex. So the delta between 9 and 7 is 2. So it's 1-to-1 +2.
Okay, here we go. Let's roll the dice, see what we get. So that is going to be a net 1.
A net of 1 at 1-to-1, which is almost certainly going to be an MM result.
MM.
Certainly is.
So the MM result means that the attacker has to roll for his morale check first.
Oh, okay. I
And
pass.
he succeeds, and then the defender would roll.
And I fail.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. By the hair of your chinny chin chin again. So that's 1 strength point loss, rout, and run. Well, that was the one I gave you the best odds on, David. Disappointing.
Yeah. And so here we go. Routed and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right?
Yep, 6 away. Yep, that's fair. The attacker has to move into the defender's hex, has to adopt a facing to be able to follow the retreat line,
Okay.
and job done. And because there was no If it were a 1D1R, you'd be disordered, but it was an MM result, and it was the first round of combat, so you're not disordered. So then you'd roll a single die for a number of pursuit points.
7.
7
Sheesh.
is a lot. Um, and so you now may choose. You can follow him, and actually, I mean, I'm pretty sure if you actually want to follow him to the bitter end, you can actually destroy the whole unit.
Right. I mean, he's only got 6 left. Am I correct? So if I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then what do I have to roll? I have to roll a recall thing, right?
Yeah, well, you got to roll a recall at the end of the pursuit. And of course,
Right.
the recall is going to be modified by the number of pursuit points you spent. So,
Right.
I mean, there's a real good chance the farther you go, the more screwed up you're going to be by the end of it all. But I mean, it's only a disorder check, so it's like, okay, so I'm disordered, which
Okay.
isn't great, but it's also not the end of the world.
So if I spend 6 points, then where does that put me?
Well, if you spend 6 points, you're actually in the hex that he's in right now.
Okay. All right. And then he's toast. All right. I'll go ahead and do that.
Okay.
It cleans up the map so nicely.
Yeah. All right. So then you're in that hex, and you can then roll your disorder check for your cavalry recall, and of course it's plus 30 for you having expended those pursuit points.
All right. Here we go. 77.
that
That's
was good
going to be a
enough.
40. Yep. So I'm fine.
Sure. All right. Wow, that was
Yeah.
pretty harsh.
All right. Sheesh. And so then can I adopt a different facing now?
Okay, so you've only spent 6 of
Right.
your 7 um, pursuit points. So you actually do have 1 pursuit point left, and so let's see. If pursuit movement is ended by conditions 2, 3, 4, retreated unit elimination. At least 1 pursuit point must have been expended. Yes, there was. If you successfully recall, so a cavalry unit performs free movement by expending any remaining pursuit points to move into a front hex and to change facing. The cavalry is not required to expend any or all of its used pursuit points and need not expend them at all. So during free movement, the pursuing unit may make a maximum of 2 facing changes. Each facing change may be any direction at 1 pursuit point, regardless of the hex points turned. So
Yeah, I was thinking. I remembered that he could he could expend that last one and do it
Okay.
multiple hex points.
exactly. So
So
yeah, that's
I can turn and face that way.
you could certainly do that if you chose to. Yes.
Okay. Well, I might as well do something.
Sure, absolutely.
All right,
So,
cool.
All right. Which
Let's-
one do you want to do next?
Let's do this one. We're on a roll.
We're on a roll. Why not? He's already rolled his morale check, so there's no reason to do that. So it looks like our odds are 2-1. It's probably going to be very similar, except being 2-1, because I suspect these units are all going to be pretty similar, considering they're all from the same units that we were. Oh, your guys aren't nearly as good, and his are a little better. All right. So in this case, it's same rules, right? Because you both charged 3 hexes. So you're starting with 4. You're getting 2 for being heavy cavalry in the first round of combat. So that's 6 plus 3. So that's 9 for the attackers. The defender is 5 plus 2. That's 7 plus 1 more for the counter charge. And so it's 2-1, but it's only plus 1 in this case because
Right.
the difference in the printed values.
Okay. So
But the
roll
odds
the
are
dice.
2-1,
Yep.
so-
So we'll see what we get.
Yep.
So I'm going to have 4. It'll be a 3. A net of
It would
3?
be, yeah, because the delta's 2, and then we add the 1, so it'd be a 3 on the 2 to 1 column.
Okay, so I'm looking at 1D, 1R.
Okay. That's makes sense to me. So one of your two units has to take the knock. They're both the same size, so you get to pick.
Yep.
They're both disordered.
Okay.
The defender takes 1 increment loss and then retreats. Okay. One of the units must move into the defender's hex and must adopt facing to be able to chase down the defender's retreat path. The other one is not required to move in, but it can. They can both move in and stack if they want to. Don't know that I'd recommend it, but you can.
Yep, I'll just move the 1 forward.
Okay. They're both disordered.
Right.
And then you'll roll for pursuit points, but this will be halved, rounded up, based on you being
Yep,
disordered.
another 7, so that's going to be
Okay,
4.
so it's going to be 4 pursuit points in this case. Now, obviously, maybe you could argue you got a slightly more complicated situation here.
Right.
For one thing, you don't have enough to completely grind up the enemy. For another thing, you've got enemy medium cavalry staring at you from down south.
Yeah, yeah.
So whether you really feel quite cheeky enough to go chew up this unit, I mean, it's up to you, obviously. It's only cardboard dice today. But at least it's something to ponder.
Right. Okay. And so if I, spent 1 point, I would advance 1 hex. If I spent 2 points, I'd advance 2 hexes. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you got your
Okay.
4 points. You can move as many as you want, and then roll your check at the end of it.
Okay. And then if I fail, then what, am I shaken or routed?
So, well, if you fail the recall, you have to keep going until you run out of points.
Ah, okay.
And then you'd be disordered and shaken because you failed your check.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I will spend 1, I guess, and I'll move
Well,
forward.
and by the way, just while we're thinking about that,
Sure.
for what it's worth, because you're already disordered,
Right.
if you fail the recall, you're disordered and shaken. Like, which is obviously a hell of a lot worse than just being
That's being
disordered.
disordered.
Right.
Okay.
And my route was this way, so.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's right, because you were in the hex that I was at. All right, so no, I will try to recall then.
Okay.
So I recall.
Yes, because the recall would be like +5 for each pursuit point, +5 for being disordered, but obviously,
Right.
easily make it.
Okay.
So, all right then. All right. So that combat's over. So
Cool.
now we go to the next one.
Yeah, how about this one here then?
Yeah, that makes sense. So the defender in this case has not made a morale check, so the defender's going to need to do so. He's going to suffer a +10 for being hit in the flank. Obviously, he's going to have an 18 for his printed value, so 28 is really the number he's after now.
And he's got a leader
Right.
that helps
Again,
too.
being very efficient in his die rolling. So they are not shaken. So then we go on into the combat itself. How many increments is that one? Is it a 7 or an 8?
It's an 8, and I'm an 8, so we're at 1-to-1 for the odds.
Okay, so it's 1-to-1 on both sides. All right, fair
Yep.
enough. All right, so then let's look at the attacker first. How many hexes did the attacker move in the charge?
I went 2 hexes, I believe.
Okay, 2 hexes. All right. So if we flip those guys over and take a look at what their printed values are, holy smokes, Württemberg is a pretty serious character. So you've got 7 as your printed value.
Okay.
8-9 for being heavy cavalry. 10-11 for being 2 hexes of charge range. All
Okay.
right.
So I'm 11.
Then
And I'm 7.
12, 13, 14 for flank hit, and then hitting in the flank.
Okay. So I'm at
So it's
14.
+14.
Okay.
Holy smokes. And you are, well, oh boy, actually, I don't think you are at 7. I think you're at 5, David, because you're not. The enemy's not in your zone of control, or at least the enemy you're attacking isn't in your zone of control.
How does that work?
Well, here I am looking for the chart.
So it's right here in the close combat
Close
modifiers
combat
number
chart
4.
table. That's right.
Cavalry modifier only applies when a opponent is in the enemy's ZOC.
Right.
So
If
you
were
would get a
fighting
plus
the guy-
2. Yeah.
Oh, the +2 doesn't apply?
No.
That's right. That's right. So
So I just have 5 to 14. So it's
So-
1 to
so
1
it's-
plus 9.
1 to 1 plus 9. So David's looking for a 0.
Well, and I'm usually obliged.
No, you didn't.
So
It's a
it's going to
1-to-1.
end up being an 8 is the
It's
result.
an 8 at 1 to 1, so it's still going to be
1D2R.
1D2R.
D2R. Okay. Hitting random buttons there, Eric?
Well, I did something to add a loss to the unit, but it then added something to the leader as
Leader
well.
initiative to the leader, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes
So
sense. You probably had both of them
Yeah, highlighted.
selected. Yeah. Okay.
All right, and then I have to advance into
That's right.
that hex. Whoops. just send that guy in on his own.
Sure.
He's good enough.
All right. Now,
All
in
right,
this
and
case,
then I can't go any further, can I? 'Cause
yeah,
this
I was
guy's-
going to say,
yeah.
in this case, yeah, we don't see that because if the advancing combat unit has a non-routed enemy unit in its zone of control after advancing into the vacated hex, then there is no pursuit.
Right.
And the determination is made after any facing change. Obviously, in this case, there wasn't a facing change, but you were compelled to adopt that facing, so it didn't matter.
Right. Yeah, given the way that he retreated, I
Exactly,
had to go that
and
way.
obviously you very much think about that when you're conducting retreats. Is how do you try to lead the guy into a zone of control to make him stop?
Right. Okay, then
all
we
right,
just got this
let's-
one last one here, I guess.
Believe you're right. Believe you're right. And again, now in this case, he has not actually done his defender morale check, so he does
Oh,
need to do his defender morale check because all he did was a disorder check for changing direction.
Does he have a penalty for
no,
the changing of direction?
No,
or-
no. The penalty was already applied to the defender
Oh,
reaction.
okay.
So he's fine as far as that goes, and it looks like he's fine as far as the morale check goes too.
All right. So looking at mine, I've got 5 for the hex, plus 2 for heavy cavalry, so that's 7. I went
Right.
3 straight, so that's 10.
Okay, 10. All right.
Am I missing anything?
I don't think so. I think you're
Okay.
good there. And he's got 3
5.
printed, and so that becomes 5. So it's are we at 1 to 1?
Yep.
Yep, 1 to 1, and I guess I got a
Plus
plus 5.
five.
Okay,
Okay.
here we go.
1 to 1 plus 5.
So it looks like it's going to be a 5 at 1 to 1. It's a
Well, the die rolling
1D1R.
The die rolling has not helped out the Austrians any, that's for sure.
No, it was not.
Kind of was hoping you were going to get maybe a good die roll out of that and sting them a little bit.
All right, and so then I have to advance one into the hex that was occupied, correct?
Correct. Yes,
Okay.
indeed.
All
And
right.
then in this case, there's nobody in front of you, so you should roll a single die for your.
So it's a
Okay, so that's
two
a,
halved is one, right?
a whopping 1 pursuit point, which probably think think certainly clarifies how much effort you want to put that to.
So if I just do the one, I could end up, what? I think he moved through that hex, so I would be there, I guess.
I believe so. Yeah.
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 And then I don't know where that leaves me.
Yeah. I don't know. I
So should I try it or not?
For me, I wouldn't bother. I mean, all
Okay.
you're going to get is one lousy increment out of it and put yourself in a more awkward, potentially
Okay.
untenable position.
I
Right?
will try to avoid it. So I'll
just don't
see
really
if I
see
can
how that
make
does you any
my
good.
recall roll. Uh-oh.
Well, now, this is something we don't see very often. But that's a 6 on a recall. So let's see.
That's an
Where's.
So is this a special check of some sort?
It is, well, yeah, it's a recall is a disorder check. So,
Okay, and that is a disorder check.
right. And
Oh,
that
I'm
was
looking at
a
morale checks. Sorry.
6.
F06 for the
Okay,
Prussians.
it's not so bad.
If the unit is stacked with a leader, double the leader's ER bonus and re-roll.
Right.
Okay, all
And
right.
he is.
Yep.
I don't know how big the ER. Oh well, it doesn't
Doesn't
matter.
matter with
obviously.
that roll.
Doesn't. Right.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, that was pretty dramatic. So that's the end of the close combat. So I believe that's it for the activation.
Okay, so then we can go ahead and flip the leaders over.
Hmm.
Okay,
Boy.
excitement.
Yeah.
So did
Obviously-
I won all 4 of those? Is that correct?
You did.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I said, when you won the first one, I thought, well, he might get all 4 of them because the first one was, if you think about it, 1-to-1 plus 2. I mean, that
Right.
it could have easily gone wrong. But yeah, that ended up you kind of cleaned the table on that. But again, the truth is, you've now got a unit way deep in hostile territory facing a funny direction. You got a couple of guys who can't countercharge because they're disordered,
Right.
and the other guys are got their flanks hanging out.
Yeah.
So the truth is, yeah, it's not like this is over for all that was really not great for the Austrians. But we haven't seen the last of them either.
Cool.
However, we did talk about wanting to attract his attention.
Yes, I think this
The
might have
medium
done it.
cavalry and forcing him to react by perhaps drawing forces up from the south. And yes, I think we have his attention now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was my exciting one. So now it's David's turn to roll
It is David's turn to roll.
for
yes.
initiative. 34. So that's a tie, I think.
I think it is, yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
08.
I'm sure our audience will be pleased.
that is a special rally for the Austrians, correct? Yep. Pick a command, perform a free disorder recovery and rally phase.
Well, it's certainly something that might be of interest depending upon if you can get enough units that are in command range. That's the only tricky bit. We got AL, who's got,
Yeah, who do I got here? Let's see.
looks like AL and SP are the names I'm seeing down there.
Yeah, so SP is here,
Yeah,
and
AL
that's
is
SP, and that's SP,
there. Right,
and that's SP.
right.
and then that's
AL
AL.
is these two hexes, and so actually,
SP's the
unlike
best one to do from the looks of it, right?
uh, I don't know. It depends because, for example, um, so AL here and AL here. I mean, that's taking disorder off. Yeah, I don't know if that's all that important. I mean, you probably get, well, you're going to get disorder off at the beginning of your turn anyway. So yeah, maybe SP does make more sense.
Okay, and the commander for that is here, right? Actually, this guy should be flipped over,
Yes. So anybody within 5 hexes of him who's an SP can go ahead and do disorder recovery and then a rally attempt.
right? All right. Yeah, let's go for SP. So let's see. First, disorder recovery. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah.
And this one here.
You scallywags.
Hey,
Hey, it's
Albert.
Albert. How you doing, Al?
Just saying goodbye.
All right. Have a good night.
All right, guys.
Good night. Oops. That should be just a shaken. All right. I'm gonna have to get a new counter, I guess. I tried the increase decrease and it just
Oh, really?
yeah,
That's
it
funny.
didn't go to shaken, so it just went to disordered.
Weird.
Yeah. So he's shaken. All right. So this right up here, and disorder check there. That should be enough too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, might check there. 23, and he's half dead, and
No, it's a disorder check. So the only thing
oh,
that matters is are you in an enemy zone of control, and are you disordered, which you are. So
oh,
+5 was the only thing you had to work against.
oh, okay. All right. So that shaking on here. And this one's
Yeah, I kept thinking this one was
That's
one you needed to think about, but yeah, you
that's
do need to think about him, but for a different reason.
yeah. He's my
He's wearing
guy.
he's wearing the wrong uniform.
all right. All right. So now we take off shaken and routed, right? Is it
That's right.
routed first? Or
It's
does it matter?
interesting because in the rally phase, you always do shaken first, and I think you do it just to make sure you don't accidentally do somebody twice.
Oh, okay. So shaken
But
first.
um, but yeah, I'm not sure if it really matters in this case because I mean, there's only 4 stacks. I think we'll figure it out, but still.
Right. So this we'll try here.
All right, so now he is going to be at +20 because he's half
plus
dead and shaken.
half dead and shaken +20. So that's in bed. So
Not
he does
any
not
better.
recover. All right, and this shaken guy here, probably about the same, right? Well, I don't know if he's half dead.
No,
No,
just
he's not
+10,
half
and
dead. Yeah.
he's not half dead, so he is back to okay. Yeah, this was a very well timed rally special event for you.
Yeah, actually it was.
It's your birthday present, David.
It is your birthday
Happy
present.
happy birthday.
Yeah. All right, so we'll try this guy here. So, nope, he's not going to.
Well, and he's going to lose another increment and keep running.
Oh God. Increase down. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Whoops. There you go.
And the last back here. They got it. Awesome. All right, so that's now shaken disordered, right?
Yep. Shaken and stirred.
Yeah, shaken and disordered. That's right.
Okay. Well, I guess I
All
got
right.
another roll, right?
Yep.
Oh yeah, yeah, you do.
Return the favor.
These
Give us an
guys.
8-0. Nope, nope, that's yours.
I get.
I haven't been paying attention, but I don't think we've rolled anything high enough to move the end turn marker either, have we?
Nope,
Yeah, no, we
they've
haven't
all
that I've seen.
been 10 or less.
Yeah,
I think we need to get 11s, right?
Hmm.
I think so.
Would it say somewhere in the scenario rules?
Uh, well, it certainly would say in the scenario rules, yes, but it also actually tells us on the turn track because there happens to be a marker on the turn track on this game to tell you what the end turn number is.
It says end turn number for scenario is 10.
Yeah, and if you look on the turn track in the bottom right hand corner,
Okay.
well, actually in the right middle, I should say, it says variable end turn number, and it actually has a marker sitting on 10.
Okay. So we have to roll above 10?
Better than 10
Okay.
before we advance the end turn marker, and we haven't done it yet.
All right, David. What
Yeah, I'm
exciting
deciding
command.
of which one I want to activate here.
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot to think about.
All right. I think I'll activate AI here.
Uh, AI, is it?
Or
AL.
AL.
AI, whatever it
Yeah.
is.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
AI, AL.
Yeah.
Alpha.
Yeah. It's an interesting set of choices you got to make here. This is really.
Yeah. So do him, and so he's not in command. And
Just
how?
means
I was
just
just now
means no. It just means no rapid march.
no rep. So now, because this is 2 hexes away from here, so as
Hmm.
soon as that does something, that can trigger a.
He could op charge. Yeah.
Yep. That's the whole point.
Yeah. Yeah. So first things first. Just so I'm clear, are all of the units here and here? Is that right?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so. I think.
All right. I don't think I see any others anywhere. Um, So disorder check first. So the disorder comes off both of them because there's a leader stacked with each.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I mean, there's no question that if you do anything, he could upcharge you. On the other hand, as long as you're facing him and he upcharges you, it's going to be 1 to 2. So,
mhm.
and you've got
Am I
a
the
leader.
attacker then?
Oh yeah, you are.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, yeah, because I mean, at first, yeah, it's going to be 1 to 2. He will have only gotten 1 hex of charge movement, and you've got a leader. So, you know, as combats go, you could do a hell of a lot worse.
And how does that now? When does that get resolved?
Immediately, it happens during movement. Let us read. Unit, the charging unit performs a morale check, H, and if it passes, charge movement occurs and close combat resolution is performed. If the unit that triggered the charge is adjacent to the enemy unit, then no movement is required. If there's an intervening hex between the active unit and the reactive cavalry, the cavalry must move 1 hex forward. No facing or formation changes or stack pit splits are permitted. The hexes entered must be unoccupied. If the charging unit fails the morale check H, it is shaken and does not charge.
And what facing do I have? Okay, if my first move would be to face him, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you did that, then basically, then what happened is you turned, and in the course of watching you turn, he came in and charged. But by the time he gets there, you're already facing him.
Okay.
It's not like he gets to hit you in the flank because you didn't get a chance to turn. You did.
Okay. That's my question there. So, all right. I'm just trying to figure out, was that all of? I thought there were more AIs than just those 4. I know one of them's still.
Let's see.
I don't see them.
No, I don't even.
This is your cavalry, the heavy cavalry. This is Atherton.
Well, that's right. There were 6 units altogether.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, is one of them in the bone pile?
There's one in the
Yep.
graveyard.
Okay, so then there
Where's
should
the?
be.
And
another one.
the other one is here. It's this one that's routed.
Oh, am I? I'm probably.
Yeah, that one there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
All right, so it doesn't matter because you can't really activate anyway.
yeah. Okay. So, I was zoomed in a little too close and didn't see him.
Oh, sure.
All right. Okay. Let's see. All right. Well, we will face them. That's the first part of my move.
Cool.
Makes sense.
We'll charge you.
Yeah, that's the spirit.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's here for, right?
I didn't know Monty was here playing. That's fascinating.
All right, we're going in, baby.
Okie dokie. So you advance 1 hex.
And then does he now have to make a morale check?
Well, let's take a look, shall we? When an upcharge is executed against an active stack, that does not contain both moving and not moving units, that is to say, all the units are moving, yes, It is resolved as a regular close combat, except that the process proceeds as follows. Individual combat designation. Remember that all enemy units, even if they were not activated, that are in the op charging unit's front hexes must be attacked. In this case, it doesn't matter because there isn't anybody else. The defender, that is to say the active player, must make a morale check. It's a morale check B, which I think is the regular one.
I'll check B. Yeah, it should be just regular. No, just modified by my
Just
By the
modified by
leader,
your
that's it.
leader, I guess.
the leader, and it's for the stack, right? So
Yep,
So they pass.
that should be pretty comfortable. All right. Then defensive fire, if there were any, and then combat resolution.
Okay, cool. All right.
And so the odds are 1 to 2. The attackers have got 4 as their printed value, 2 for medium cavalry, 1 for advancing 1 hex as part of their charge, so that's 7 altogether.
Yep.
The defender is 5 is his top unit, plus 1 for the leader, that's 6, 7, 8 for enemy in the zone of control. So 7 compared to 8 is -1, so it's 1 to 2 -1.
My kind of odds, baby.
Where's that 0 when you need it?
Here we go. 83.
Oh, shoot.
So the difference is 4, is that correct? So 1 to 2 with a 4. It's M and M. Okay.
Okay.
So
Attacker
I just
has to roll first.
Okay. And I pass.
Okay, and the defender then has to roll. And he passes. All right, so now nobody gets the +2. I mean, not that it mattered because the +2 is counteracted.
Right.
Nobody gets any charge benefit either. So now we're basically just using printed values.
So I got 4 and he's got 6. So it's a
So now
-2
It's now 1 to 2
with a
minus
-2.
2.
Okay. No worries. Here we go, baby.
No worries.
Oh. So now the difference is -3.
Luck run out.
So for me, it's a 2R, and for him, it's a 1D. Is that correct?
Probably so, yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure I'm on the right spot on the chart.
No, I just you were absolutely right to ask, and it would be great if I could ever find the chart I want. But yeah, 1
Okay.
to 2 -3 is 2R 1D. So yeah, that's for sure the case.
Okay. Cool.
And
All right. And then I have to run back 6, correct?
you have to run back 6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I guess. That's more or less the direct route from where I was to where I am, right? From there to there. Okay. Cool. And then he's
And-
disordered and takes a hit.
Disordered and moves into the hex and has to adopt a facing to pursue.
But he's not the attacker.
It doesn't matter if he's the attacker or not.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, I mean, and that's true, by the way, anytime.
Oh, I did not know that.
But if the defender's cavalry, he can pursue the attacker. Okay, so actually, let's read a little bit and make sure we understand what's going on. If the active unit wins the combat and has movement points remaining, it can continue moving and can trigger additional op charges. I'm actually struggling a little bit because I'm trying to figure out where pursuit falls into this. If it suffered a disorder result, however, its movement is over. Okay, all right. So your movement's over, but I'm reasonably confident that you're still going to get if during its movement the active unit triggered a disordered check, it's still, no, that doesn't matter, before any pursuit. Winning active defending cavalry that was attacked through a front hex is required to advance after combat and perform the pursuit procedure if it is not shaken. If it is recalled before using any pursuit points and it did not suffer a disordered result, which doesn't apply, it can continue its movement by expending any remaining movement points. If it's not recalled or fails its recall check, it completes the pursuit and any remaining movement points are ignored. Okay, so it is all explained here, actually. Winning active cavalry that does not advance after combat may continue to move according to
So
1307.
both of them
Okay.
have to move in this case?
So you have to move at least one of the two units into the defender's hex. And basically you're going to follow the same rules as if this were pursuit. So that you're going to have to turn and face his pursuit path, his retreat path, and then roll for pursuit points. And since you're disordered, you no longer have the opportunity to actually complete your movement. But you can complete the pursuit.
Right.
So the only question is, do you move in one or do you move in both? If nothing else, they're at least facing the right direction, since he thoughtfully retreated back towards friendly territory.
Yeah. But it could end up being disordered and shaken out of this whole thing. So that's gonna be well. All right.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm not necessarily encouraging you to do the pursuit. I'm just saying that you don't have any choice about moving in and facing that way. Then the question is, of course, you're going to roll for pursuit points and have it. So 2.
Yeah, let's pursue for 2.
Okay. Let me ding
And
up.
then I roll for
So it's going to be
Recall.
plus 15 on your recall check. Uh-oh.
fail the recall, but I'm at the end, so I'm shaken, right? Shaken. and
Shaken disordered now. Now the weird part is we're still in the movement segment.
Yep.
So now the other stat gets to move, strangely now, with full awareness of what just happened.
Yeah, so they can come
Whether
up
that-
to cover your ass, kind
Well,
of a
whether
thing,
that
right? Yeah.
would change anything or not, I don't know, but you do have full awareness.
Do you have full awareness?
I mean, it does make me wonder if, for example, you took that stack back there, use one to finish off that shaken, disordered unit that's back there behind you, or do you just ignore him because he's only got one increment left? Who cares? And then move other guys forward to help support the rest of the line. I'd forgotten that guy back there had lost 7 increments. He's hardly worth worrying about.
Till he comes up behind the redoubts, attacks the guns from the rear. Would I have to make a morale check for them to have the initiative to do that?
Well, the first problem is going to be he's going to move at half speed because he's out of command.
Oh, okay.
The other problem is that you can't initiate a charge if you're out of command. You can initiate a reaction charge or an op charge, but you can't actually just charge.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, that keeps you from having weird little units, higgly piggly, doing stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. These aren't Cossacks. They can't just go randomly rampaging around looking for loot.
Oh. Gotta love those Cossacks. Come on.
Oh, sure. You gotta love stacking them like cordwood.
Got it. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to take him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so that's the end of movements, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to attempt to charge with that stack. See if they can roll better than their. Nope, they can't.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no! Now Lucchese is pretty good though.
Well, I don't think he's. Well, 3 plus 10.
That's a 13. Oh, but they're 25s. So that's going to be a 23. So they're
Yeah,
still going
not
to
enough.
fail.
You needed a 15.
So
All
what
right.
does that mean? Do they?
They're shaken.
Oh,
It's actually
Yeah.
worse than nothing, actually. We have an expression for that in Texas.
I'm waiting for you to tell us.
David is snake bit tonight.
Snake bit. Oh, there
Yes,
you go.
yeah.
Yeah, that's not great. I mean, I guess there's still a chance of him getting a next initiative and maybe trying to salvage something with SP or I guess AG. But yeah, that was not a great way for that to end up. Okay, well, I think that's the end of your activation,
I
if
think
memory
that's
serves.
the end of my activation. And
See, we are at 9:30 California time. That's what
Yeah,
11:30 in your part of the world and
It is.
12:30 out in David's part of the world. Did we want to try to wrap it up here?
That's probably we can,
yeah.
we can call it here.
yeah. I mean, obviously we got a little bit of a late start, and then we had some pretty serious action-packed activations.
Oh yeah.
Yes, we did.
We didn't get very far, but we got a lot to chew on.
Well, and we haven't moved the marker forward at all, so we're
Isn't
going
that
to. This
amazing?
is going to be a longer turn, I think.
I was going to say we may not get through this turn next week either.
Yeah, I'm thinking this turn might take a couple of weeks to get done, but that's
Well,
okay.
that's all right.
What
There's
else
a
are we
lot
going to
going
do
on.
on a Monday night? I mean, a Sunday night. So
Not boring, that's for sure.
yeah,
Nope,
yeah.
not boring at all. Well,
No.
all right. Well,
Is
then
your-
if that's the case, then
Is your stream still going on? Or?
Yeah, it is. If you want, I can